Alrighty. It's some yin yang tonight. Welcome everyone. I thought I might change it up a little bit and show you another perspective of my lounge room. And when I did the trial for this, just about 15 minutes ago, you could see my face. But from what I'm seeing, in the reflection of the camera, it looks a little bit dark, so I hope you can see me. Anyway, you can hear me. That's all that you need to do. You're so expert at all this, you just need to have your ears open. So I just thought, you know what? I do it the other way so often. I go out into the back room, I do it there. You can get to see the lounge room from the other perspective. It's a little bit different for me. It's like changing offices. Yin Yang, what does it mean? Yin Yang means we get to do some tough stuff and then we get rewarded for some yin at the end. I try to balance this one. So today I've decided that we'll start off with the yang process, the yang practice, and then we'll finish with the yin practice. I've got some extra little blankies here sitting underneath my bum. Here's my bolster over here, and obviously I've got the old trusty blocks as well. So if you haven't got some extra little tidbits that you might need, feel free to go and find them. The reason really only is for the yin practice. So when we head into that yin practice, if you want to race off and go get them, then you're most welcome to. But I find that yin, we still need some props because we do have to feel what's going on, but we don't want to be in that excruciating pain of thinking, how much longer have I got to be here? We've still got to have this really nice, calm mind that goes with the yin practice. My choice of yin poses to come from the winter element, which is in Chinese medicine is water, funny enough, and it also represents two organs, the kidney and the urinary bladder. So we'll be working through the meridian lines that run up the inner leg. Okay. We'll also be running up the lines that run down the backs of the legs, up the two sides of the spine and down, so that what we call the front body and the back body. This is my front body and my back is my back body. So the lines run up through here, they also run up through the spine as well. And a little bit of theory behind today's class. So as we settle in, we have some pranayama to work through. Take a moment as you settle in, just to keep a really nice long spine in your sitting position. If you've chosen to go into Shavasana, that's cool too. You've got a long spine, your back's being propped or supported by the floor and your mat. Get ready to notice how the breath comes slowly with great ease in and out through the nose. Some nice long full breaths coming here. Perhaps we can sense that breath as it comes in through the nostrils, down the back of the throat, as it drops down into the bottom or the lower lobes of the lungs. We fill the lungs all the way up to the top. And then we let go of the breath, that full, complete exhalation, not holding on to any breath at the end, so not allowing any residual breath to sort of settle in the bottom of the lungs, but full inhale, full exhale now. And when I say the word full, yes, it's a complete breath, but we're also very mindful that it's not, like that 150% capacity, that yes, they're full, but there is no unnecessary strain that comes to the throat or the neck as we allow that whole breath to come in. So then we still want to remain a softness all through the body with that breathing. And breathing can be quite harsh. Some of the extended breaths can be quite strong on the body. Some of the retention breath, where you sit and you hold the breath for 2 minutes, they can create tightness and tension in necks, throats, lungs, chest. But I want you to feel that there's this, elegance to your breathing, effortlessness. breath just flows in and out. And both the breaths now becoming the same length. Let's keep the breath as rhythmical as it is, with the same length and beautiful qualities that we've created. But perhaps start to wriggle the fingers and the toes, bring a little bit of life and energy back into the body. We are going to start practice today lying on our backs. I do so much with you studying in this sitting position because it's like my newfound seated position. I think when we only have an hour together, I like to get us going pretty quickly. Not to say that we're not going to do that today, but if I get you lying onto your backs, first of all, we'll begin with the knees to chest. You know me, I don't ever not warm you up. So even though we're going into a Yang practice, which is more of a energetic practice versus the Yin compared to, shall I say, still very, very important that we don't go and jump straight into things like, you know, warriors and strong kind of poses. Now, if you feel comfortable giving me a little rock here, you might go side to side. Again, you'll know what feels right, what feels comfortable. It might just be a little sort of mini back massage that you take here. Just a gentle rock. And as we allow these knees just to come here and they just get to stop and rest here, the belly will go with a wider positioning of the knees, but then we're going to flip these feet upwards towards the ceiling and we'll hold on to the feet. This is what we know as happy baby. Now, with the Yin, and I'm going to say this because a Yin practice is all the poses that we would know from a traditional yoga practice, but they are in a more held state. So I say that because this is actually a Yin pose, okay? For the water element, for the kidneys and urinary bladder meridian for winter. So we could actually be doing this in our Yin practice, but because we're doing it here now, I won't be doing it as a long held pose. If you can stay holding on to your left foot for me, we will let go of the right, making it a half happy baby. Be kind to yourself as you roll this leg down to the floor. We want to be very mindful that it had been closed down. Most of our focus is over here on this left leg, the one that you're holding on to. So you might emphasize that by pulling the foot back towards this top edge of your mat and pressing out and away with the left heel. There's this heaviness that comes to the back of this right thigh now. And that's in order to start this opening of the hip flexors. We call half happy baby. This can sometimes be, for many people, an easier option too, because it sometimes gets hard to have to hold on to both of the legs, particularly if one leg might be more flexible and have more mobility than the other. It's usually easier for us to hold on to at least one. I guess it's like doing head of the cow. Okay, sometimes it's easier to do a half head of the cow than it is to do full head of the cow. So you can feel how this starts to open up this back channel of the leg, all still with this idea of the bladder meridian, it's the urinary bladder meridian and the kidneys. Alrighty, now we're going to ease that guy off a little and navigate the knee across the body using my left hand to a half head of the cow. It'll be your right hand now that comes down and grabs hold of the right foot. We're going to swing the foot up to be in line with the left knee. As we open up now this left hip, align your hips so that your left bottom cheek stretches down towards the end of the mat a little more and starts to square up the two hips. So it's only natural that this left hip would like to hike or move up towards the left rib cage. Okay? It's just a process that happens as a result of the leg coming across. Left bum, reach it down towards the end of the mat. And always make sure that if you're not feeling this stretch, it's because this foot might be hanging down here near the right thigh and having a holiday. up and bring it knee height in line, ankle and knee in line. The other thing the other reason why you might not be feeling it, it may not have travelled far enough over to your right. Okay, you've got to bring it across the body line. Now we're going to let the heel ease down towards the bottom, but towards the thigh, I should say. Your right hand now will take the weight of the left knee, and we're going to roll it down towards the floor. So this takes us into what we call a supine twist. Remember, if this becomes too strong in the lower part of the back, return the foot to rest. Here comes and rests on this right leg. Leaving our shoulders anchored on the floor, so my left shoulder pins down to the floor and I'm twisting away from it. Turn the head, you might want to look over your left shoulder here. Bring the head back to center. Unfold this left leg so it comes out to your side a little more and hold on to it. So now we're back into these hamstrings. We've sort of to take the hamstring a little stronger now by pressing out through the left heel. Send your left bottom cheek down to the end of the mat. If your hand doesn't find the leg comfortably, you know you've got this, you've always got props. You've got that block or something that might be able to hold it in position. We do press out and away with our left heel. Remember, left bottom cheek reaches down away from us as well. It's reaching down to the end of our mat. We want to close the left knee and roll it back down to the floor and place the left sole of the foot flat onto the floor. We have a long right leg and you also have a short left leg. Here's where we'll start to activate a little bit of core and a little bit of belly work now. Watching that we don't jam or press this back into the floor. Find those natural curves of the spine. And all I'm just going to ask you to do here is be mindful that the back doesn't want to go into this big extended arch. See how my ribs are flaring up towards the roof and I have this huge big gap underneath here. Your ribs must be on the floor, but your lower back, your lumbar where the spine curves inwards is definitely off the floor. Let's warm up the belly. Left heel pulls subtly up off the floor or off your mat. Draw the belly button towards the spine a little firmer. It's not a yank and it's not a pull. It's about it's a soft engagement of the abdominal muscles as you lift the left heel away from the floor. So you've got this left foot just skimming or just hovering. If you feel that the belly can support a little stronger version, then you've got two options here with me. It might be that option of subtly trying to lift the right leg off the floor, or if you wanted to, it could be the whole lift. This is all up to you, but the whole lift might send the back into extension. Again, we're careful that do we have these ribs on the floor and have I got this nice little natural curve in the lower back. Holding here, but not holding the breath. But feeling this really deep need for the abdominal muscles to be active so that it negates the work of the back. Lower softly down to the floor. There should be complete rest there. And when you're ready, we're going to change the legs. Let's go left leg. Good. It's the right heel hovers. Before we start to go into the deeper versions, our ribs stay on the mat. We might go navel towards the spine. Again, remember it's not the yank or the pull, it's just this soft sort of dropping down, hovering at the right foot. And those two other options that we had, either a full lift of the left leg or just a tap deadlift. Okay, now when we know we start to fatigue in this, a couple of things happen. The breathing will get rapid, the back will want to overarch, the abs might continue to shake. And they're all little cues that our body is sending to us that, and as we listen to them, we realize, okay, perhaps now is the time to ease everything back down as I go back into rest. Send the left ankle onto the right knee. We'll go into our figure four. This is to open up the lateral side of this left hip. We know that sides of these hips can often can get quite tight. It's not uncommon here. When we sit a lot, we go into quite, a really deep, what we call deep hip flexion, that these are notorious for really holding on to that pelvis, trying to keep it from slouching on you and tilting. Good, that right foot will go to the floor, cross the left leg all the way over the right, and now we'll gently pull the two knees down to the floor. As far as does feel comfortable for you, wherever it is, these shoulders still stay on the floor for us. Really careful here that we don't do this little popping action of these shoulders up and off away from the floor. We want to anchor down through our right shoulder. And knees subtly float off there and down to the left. Now this is to open up this whole right side, so from anywhere from those oblique muscles over this right hip, what we call the ITB, the iliotibial band, and down that, and that band runs from your hip down towards your leg, your lateral side of your leg. Good, bring it on up, and when you're ready, the left will become your long leg, and as we draw the right knee in to the chest, we're going to recreate that half happy baby. It means bringing the right knee out to the side of our rib cage, unfolding it, finding it, navigating that thigh off to the right hand side of you. Press out through your heel. Remember that heaviness to the back of the left leg. Press through your right heel now. Opening up that hole, you can feel that really deep back of that hamstring really being stretched through here. And just breathing our way through. As we press out through the heel, it does become slightly stronger. Half happy baby, when you're ready, becomes that half head of the cow. Navigate the knee across to your left. Using your left hand, we find it. We find that foot and we pull the foot towards our left armpit. Good. Work the right bottom cheek down and away from you. Align knee and hip. Knee and hip. Knee and ankle. And if it's super tough, you're not going to hold your breath. You're going to breathe. Ease the heel down towards this left thigh. Use your left hand. Roll the knee now across towards your left, leaving that right shoulder onto the floor. Now I've got my blankets here, which my foot's very happy to rest onto, but it could come and swing on the inner leg, or it could hang out there in space. Again, just finding where it feels right, where it feels comfortable for you. This one we could always look over the opposite shoulder too. It's quite a common, it's almost like a common reaction. Often when I cue this in class, I'll say, take the knee to the left, and without even asking you, I'll automatically see all the heads roll to the right. It sort of goes nicely together. This one also had the extension of the top leg, so that top leg being our right leg, we unfold it so that it then takes us further into a straight-legged hamstring stretch. It's a very different sensation of a hamstring stretch than the half happy baby was. Keep pressing out through this right heel now. We still have to align the hips, so my right bottom cheek still working away from me. And you might need to just take some nice slow breaths here, relaxing into it. Just watching that this right hip doesn't find its way. As it gets a little tired, that hamstring gets a little bit tired of being stretched, it wants to ride up. Ease off the knee bands. And we come slowly back in to the center. Slide, now we've done the bracing, so we're going to slide the left foot along the floor. You're going to bring your right ankle onto the knee now. Okay, get ready to come on through. We're going to find this left leg or left shin. Work the right knee away from you. So you lower the left foot to the floor, right leg stays fully crossed over. This is where we draw those knees down. If you didn't want it this strong, you could always just let your knees do what I call, either those little windscreen wipers or that flop and the drop. Rolling the knees across. I'm going to do the little windscreen wipers because my back's not going to like that too much. But again, I'm going to choose that option of going into that little knee drop. Perfect. Letting those legs come back to the center, we bring the knees to the chest. Now, if this does feel comfy for you, what we would do is use it to rock on up. If not, I'm very happy for you to roll over to your side to find yourself up onto a sitting position. Come to sit, and then once we've come into sitting, we're going to do a quick flip round with these legs and take ourselves onto all fours. It's a nice way to bring us into cat-cow. When you're ready, cat will be on your exhale. Cow pose will be on the inhale. Rounding the back on cat. Extending the spine on that cow pose. Good, round back, exhale. Now this lengthens all those spine muscles, but then this works the spine. So there's this nice balance between the two. Curl up, cat, and then cow. Take the left leg out the back. We're going to find active cat. When you're ready, left leg will lift. Active on the exhale, pull knee towards the forehead, and then inhale, lengthen the leg. Good, if you want to give me a little push up in between, you are most welcome. However, if you'd like to stay just with active cat, that is fine too. Okay, depending on how strong their upper body is, it's feeling. You make that call yourself. Active cat and active. We'll go one more, just to get some warmth into the arms. Stay here now, tuck the toes under. This will lead us all up into three-legged down facing dog. Your right heel drops down towards the floor, the left leg lifts and it elevates. Think of yourself stretching or pressing the mat far away from you. And then when ready, this knee will pop in towards the chest. You're going to find this low lunge, where the left leg comes and stacks over our knee, stacks over the left ankle, but our hips stay low. That's that real nice low profile here. Again, another beautiful opportunity to stretch out through that hip flexor. Low lunge. Pivot, plant the back right foot onto the floor. Don't roll in on those arches. Keep pressing that right little toe down to the floor. Here is side angle pose. Now, if you want to use your blocks, your left hand might sit on that block. You could always let your left elbow rest here on that left thigh as well. Okay, there's always options. Float the right arm over and into your ear, so it's a nice long arm. If you want to choose two arms, head there. Okay, it's a little stronger, but otherwise you could sit here into that single arm version. Okay, you do what you do. Yeah, right arm wraps around the back. Here's that little bindy version that we do. We do that little tuck and we hold those hands. We watch the trunk doesn't tip to the floor. We're really mindful that the trunk rotates or shines upwards towards the ceiling. Keep squeezing this left heel into the center of the mat. I'm going to unfold us into triangle pose from here. Keep pressing the left arm into the leg. Reach the right arm long and straight and nice and close to the ear. Full triangle goes to reverse triangle. The right hand comes down to where this leg is. I'm going to use my blocks. You are most welcome to use yours too if you need. My reverse triangle. Right hand on. Draw that left hip back and unfold the left arm. The whole spine twist the other way. Then sink into the left knee. Here's where you'll hook. So this is that reverse side angle pose. My right elbow hooks over that left knee. When we breathe in, lift the trunk. Here's reverse warrior. And you get to tip back here as well. Inhaling, reach the arm all the way up. Come and find warrior one right there at the front part of your mat. And breathe out, reach those hands down to the floor. We're going to step it on back. That's a plank, a down dog. From your down dog, we will find a plank pose on an inhale, and then it simply becomes a knee plank. Chin will go down towards the floor. Yep. And then you'll go to cobra. Slither, slither, slither. Watch that you don't lift the legs. The legs are soft, so too is that bottom. come up, come back onto all fours for me from here. Active cat-cow, that's on the right leg now, left, pull it in, extend out, curl and tuck and bring it in. Good. If I don't have the lounge in my way, I have the the steps. It's not one thing, it's the other. If you want to use those arms, get ready, down and up we go. Tuck in, send it out, drop it down. But if you're already done with all those arms, that's okay. I think we can do one more. We've got yin to finish us off, so we don't have to do too much more work from here. There's your three-legged down dog. Let the left heel drop. The right leg stays lifted and elevated here. Good, three-legged down dog. Knee to chest. We're looking at those hands. That's where this right leg gets to step and bring it through. Drop those hips here into your beautiful hip flexor stretch. Keep pressing back through your left heel. Now as we find side angle pose, we're going to pivot and plant that left foot flat. Keep those arches lifted. It's going to be a left hand to the ceiling. So your right arm stays down or it sits on a block. And we unfold here. Remember, you get to add that arm if that feels right. Your choice. We're just going to watch so we don't roll in on that back foot. We want to feel, we talked about the inner leg work, which is all part of that kidney meridian, yeah? Let's make sure we already start to activate it. Two arms if you wanted to, or if you want to go straight into binding, you can stay in a bind. Squeezing our right heel into the center of this mat. That stops this knee from flopping inwards. Triangle, you keep squeezing, that leg will straighten, and then that top arm goes back up and unfolds. Triangle to reverse triangle, twist, twist, twist. You might need to come up onto the ball of the foot out there on that back leg to bring the hips more around. I like that option. That's up to you. I don't like jamming up my pelvis. Sink into that right knee, add those arms, here they are. Hands to prayer, drop the hips. Then keep pressing through the feet, that brings the trunk up. Split those arms, there's your reverse warrior. Yeah, come back, here's the front part of our mat. A lunge warrior. Hands go down towards your floor. Step it back. Down dog. Gives those legs a little break, yeah? And plank. Is your inhale. Knees. Doesn't mean you lose your belly. It just means that you are in a knee version of plank. And I find that for many of us, we get to use these arms a little more as we lower them down. A sliver, there's your cobra on your inhale. As we push up and back, quick rest. Child's pose. Wriggle those bottoms back and sit back into the heels. When you're ready, we get to walk the hands in. And the trunk comes back up to stack. We're ready to go into yin. So we've done it literally on the nose, 1/4 halfway. I'm just going to say that if you have, say, your jacket, because I took mine off because I felt like I was going to get too warm in the vinyasa, in the flow, please feel free to bring any of your warmer clothes back on. If you want to dull the lights, you're welcome to. I decided I'd put our little candles all on just to get us in the yin mode, because it is a really nourishing, restorative kind of practice. It's not as restorative because that's very, very propped, because we know in yin that we definitely feel, we're here to feel what's going on. My very first area to work through with you is 3 versions of child's pose. Basic child's, it'll then go to it'll go to wide child's, and then it'll go to a flipped version of it, which we call frog pose, which is the toughest on layering us through it. If even when you sit in child's pose that you'd like some help or some support, now for some people it's a little bit of propping here, yeah, behind the backs of the legs. Others it might be underneath the knees. It could be that you don't get your head that far down and you might like to have your forehead rest onto it. Whatever feels like that there's no force in the pose. Now you can start to pull the props out if you need to. So if you get to that point and think, it's not so, I can get rid of some layers here, then definitely go there. I'd like us to use child's though as what I call an active version of child's. This means long, straight arms, and then letting the chest still rest onto the thighs, but it's not the collapsed, dropped arms. I want us to work through the shoulders. Good. So wriggling your bottoms back and noticing that hands are pressing down into your mat and they're pushing forward towards that front part of your mat. Really sitting yourself back into the heels. Now you keep going, I'm just going to keep talking us through because with my face down, it probably sounds very muffled. So the person says, look, I'm in the bathroom. So this is the back line of the body that you're stretching. The spine and all of what we call the erector spinae muscles that run down parallel down the back of the spine. Allow yourself to soften into it. Come and connect into the breathing that goes with that softening. Very much that outward breath, very much imagining the body just softening and letting go as you exhale. Now, yes, there's going to be little parts of the body, we know this, that have this conversation with us. That start telling us that it exists. And that's okay, because that's what we're here for. We are here to be observant, very much so. We're here to feel that something really is going on. But we're also here to know that there's this edge that we talk about in Yin. Okay, and I'll keep coming back to the edge. Though I'm going to remind you of the posture still. How are the arms going? Has gravity decided that it'll come in and play a little game on you and try and bend those elbows? Keep the arms long and straight. Whilst we're pushing the mat forward, we're watching that the shoulders don't go forward with us. The shoulders actually slide down the back to stabilize the scapula, the shoulder blades. If we send our mind to our purpose of this pause, and that's to stretch and to open up the back line of the body, the back meridian of the body, then can we send some of those nice full inhalations into the back of this rib cage? And so that's your inhale, and when we exhale, can we let our bellies really melt down into those thighs? Still feel the activeness of the pause. Take another 3 breaths here. And as I mentioned earlier, it becomes a wide-legged child's. This simply means the knees look more like a V. We still keep the feet together, or the big toes that's still touching here. And as we fold down through now, your chest gets much closer to the mat. Perhaps now the forehead definitely goes to the floor. Can we stay with those working arms? And now, yes, we're still breathing into the back of the rib cage, but the belly is literally just falling. It's hanging. It's such a beautiful feeling that you don't have to hold the belly in. You can just let it go. Now, it's easy to say relax into the pause. For some, yes, they're like, yep, I could go to sleep like this. Others are like, this is definitely talking to me. Let's not enter the conversation too much about the intensity of it. We know that there is some going on. Yes, we know that we don't want to feel like our ankles are going to break in half. So we work through that and we try and breathe our way through the uncomfortable. Remember, in Yin we talk about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And in meditation today, one of my comments was, the power of the mind and where our mind focuses. It has literally the ability to heal that area. Be it something as simple as healing your heart or healing a pain, a strain. It's really focusing on and bringing our energy really sharp, clear where we are. Not letting it go on a little holiday somewhere else. Okay, let's hang here for another 3 breaths. Might walk the hands in closer towards the chest as you draw your way up to sitting. We are staying here. Okay, it's all about this inner line. We talk about the inside line of these meridians. I'm going to turn to you just so that you can see the angle that I'm on. They call it frog pose. So think happy baby, okay, where we had knees wide. And then we keep them wide, so what's going to happen here? You can turn them out. Some people have the feet out wider than the knees. Other people have the feet turning in, so like a wide V or in line. It's what feels comfortable, but you've got to come down and lower your pelvis. Oh, that probably was better showing you on the angle, so you can see my pelvis. I'll take off my jacket. You're lowering your pelvis down to the floor, so I've got wide knees. And I'm lowering my hips down. So it's either propped up on the elbows, or some people will go right down. That's not me. We also don't want the back to feel like it's vulnerable, so you don't want this lower back to sink. And let's say, for example, you can keep doing what you're doing, but get another little prop saying, it's just a little strong. Can I do it, but maybe have that bolster underneath my belly? Now, for me, this is not an easy pose at all for me. This is super, getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I can guarantee you here. That just takes for me, it takes the pressure off my lower back. I still feel like there's some work. It might even be just that initial stage of just getting used to it. It has never been a favourite of mine. Now you might notice with this frog pose that the lower you go, the more obvious that it is as well. So for example, those people who do cobbler's pose or butterfly pose with great ease find this fairly easy. It is traditionally quite a strong pose, so don't worry, we won't stay here for too much longer. I'm going to give us let's take three more breaths. But again, not letting in the whole body sort of become restrictive. You're not holding on for grim death. you know we always go into a reset here. Whichever way feels comfortable for you, reset will be what we call prone. That means facing down, just so that the body can recalibrate. We are doing a quick 180 turn over onto our back. Up to you. You might need a little pillow, you may not. It is just a double knee twist. Okay, let's start knees to chest. Go all the way over to one side. Doesn't matter what side it is. For me, I'm going to need my bolster today. But it's knees into that deep twist. Let your two hips come with you. But remember where those shoulders are. That left shoulder needs to find its way back down there onto the floor. Your right hand might weight those two knees down. And when we have done this twist right at the beginning in our warm-up, we've been there. You can definitely play with this a little bit more if you'd like to. So if you feel like that, and how do we find the more uncomfortable version of this, let's call it that. The knees don't move. The shoulder stays glued to the floor, but the ribs try to relocate themselves towards the floor a little bit more without the knees sliding off each other, if that makes sense. So in other words, we're trying to get more rotation in this thoracic, in this spine. So if we think this is like me wringing that sponge, I'm trying to twist it even more, so that there's this really full deep rotation. You might even feel that it's getting across the pecs as well, and that's just because we're trying to really anchor that shoulder down. Again, this is all about trying to release these spine muscles and bringing what they call chi energy back into the body during winter periods. What happens in winter, as we all know, it's cold, we hibernate. We've been doing that for how many months? And there's a lot of what they call stagnant energy in the body. And stagnant energy will just sit in the body, and it needs awakening. Even though, yes, we are meant to definitely, it is a natural behaviour for us to hibernate, and our conditions ask us to do that. And it is good for the body to hibernate so that it can burst out of its seams when the warmer months come about. And this one will go into twofold again. It's a leg extension on this left leg now. Again, we did this in the warm-up, but now as we sit here for longer and we've explored it more, just as a very quick stint in the warm-up, we can perhaps play more with it now. In the yin, we can challenge it a little bit more. Can we really work that left hip down towards the floor? Whilst we keep that left shoulder on, how much longer can I perhaps make this left leg, opening up more of this back line of the body, breathing into it and sitting into it. Finding the edge, which I talked about in our child's pose sort of trio. There's the knowing that every pose has that little, its own little nuances about it, and where we feel the work but not the the force or not the strain. And one of the, I'll call it one of the fathers of Yin, his name is Bernie Clark. I love it, he talks about Yin like the Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. Makes perfect sense. So he says, not too much, not too little, but just right. Finding that place. It's so true. Let the knees start to come and close back in. That's our best way to ease out of that deeper, longer stretch. Let's just lie here with the back parallel to the floor. You can do bent knees, you can do long legs. It's that opportunity for the nourishing phase of sitting in that for anywhere, and Yin is anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes. Get ready to take that same full twist over to the left hand side now. Back to knees and chest. Little tuck. 2 knees down to your left. Again, if they can go right to the floor without any force, perfect. That's not me today. Again, know your boundaries, know where those limitations are, know the edge, feel that there's still goodness happening. And sit in it. The rotation, the releasing of the spine, and not only the spine, you can feel it stretches over the glutes as well. So again, the back body. Keep working it, but not forcing it. And it naturally will give as you sit in it. It's just natural. So officially, we're still staying with our deep twist. In some capacity, Yin practice is somewhat meditative in that it requires us to just be one with the breath, connect with the breath, not be distracted by thoughts. This is so easy to get distracted when you are not thinking about left leg, right leg, twisting, unfolding, dancing warrior, blah, blah, blah. For that busy mind, still poses that challenging. That's as challenging as doing a meditation. Can we see if any more of those ribs can find the mat without the knees moving off one another? Keep the twist, but unfold the top right leg, We've got it. We're holding on to it. We stay with the twist. We stay with the attachment of the right shoulder onto the floor. We press out through the right heel. We keep the stretch now running, so we've got twist through these back muscles. Now we've got stretch over the bottom and all the way down this back line of the leg. Whilst I say keep the legs straight, yes, don't ever feel the need to have to lock out a leg. And I say that about all joints. You know, it's not like a hard, firm, stiff arm. There's always joints should always have a softness around them. They're very vulnerable if you lock them out. They're not stable when they're locked. They're stable when they're engaged, but not when we lock them. Because usually what happens is when we lock them, we will overextend them. People who have very mobile joints will tell you how easy it is for them to overextend a joint. And just check in, have we tried to cheat somewhere? Has that right hip tried to sneak, or that top hip tried to sneak up near the ribs? Do we need to remind it to stay down? Keep feeling that there's work. If there's not work, then create it. Okay, knowing, being very clear on the difference between the two, work, force, strain, or just literally just doing not much at all. As we start to ease out of this one, it's just a letting go of the leg, or letting it come off its prop that it might have been on, closing the knees together. You can bring the legs together back, you don't have to. One at a time is perfectly fine. A little reset. Our last pose is actually going to take us into Shavasana, so into our very last restorative recalibration. I'm going to give us perhaps a couple of options here. You could definitely go into Shavasana. You could pull this bolster underneath the backs of your knees, and you could just lie where you are. You could continue with the yin theme of opening up the inner line of the leg, the inner leg line meridian, and come into a lying version of the butterfly pose. You could blanket up in terms of getting a little bit more warmth, because remember, you are here. If you think, you know what, I wouldn't mind turning the lights down, because now it's time to really get into that restorative sort of mode. Be my guest if you want to put your socks back on. Either way, we do about 4 minutes together here of just taking the body into that last sort of phase of relaxation. Really give the body every opportunity to to reboot. Just to reframe itself. And we refine that beautiful breath, long, slow, smooth. All those beautiful qualities of a natural breath that comes with absolute ease. You let your body go here. You know that either the bolster or the floor is fully supporting you. You don't have to hold on. Simply letting go here. Take time just to check in perhaps. Is there anywhere, as we do this little mini body scan, is there anywhere that's trying to still hold on, hold tight? It's in the rest that the body is able to repair itself. And that's what we do when we come down into Shavasana. We allow the body time and stillness. To literally repair itself. meditation bowl, that's our cue. A cue to bring our awareness back, to perhaps wriggle the fingers and the toes, become more mindful of the sounds around us, and roll and rest. Come to one side. And in your own time, find your way to sitting. And see that we bring our hands to the heart. It's where we give gratitude. It's where we honour ourselves, our practice, our teachers of all kinds. We finish with namaste. Namaste. A little bit of yin yang to start your week. Tomorrow in the morning I have a little short but sweet. My emphasis is on upper body tomorrow, upper body strength. That is written, ready to go. And other than that, I will see you if you're with me on Wednesday morning for meditation. And don't forget, just a little friendly reminder, our class for the month, our master class for the month is restorative practice. Start stockpiling your blankets and your bolsters and your blocks and your props, because we're going to need them and we're going to use as many as we can to make it super duper delicious. It's nice to do restorative in winter. We are here to rebuild, rekindle ourselves. And restorative is one of those practices that's lovely to do in winter, but it's also lovely, I like to do it at the end of the year as well, just to rejig us after we've probably had a really big year. So we've had a big year this year. Anyway, have a gorgeous evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me the other way. And I shall see you very soon.